Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. You know, this Louvre heist, this Louvre robbery has everyone talking. It's just, it's one of those crimes of the century. Brazen, uh, inside job, organized crime. Were they really that professional? Everyone's critiquing what they did and how they did it. But the bottom line is they got away with 88 million euros worth of jewels. In American terms, over $100 million worth of jewels. It has apparently shaken the French government and the police and the security errors. You know, one of the things that a lot of Europeans they criticize all the time about America, and that's our guns. But perhaps when you have billions of dollars worth of jewels and artwork, perhaps your security guards should be armed. You know, maybe but then again, the French police aren't even armed. So when they talk about security errors, security lapses that enabled these robbers to conduct a brazen daytime robbery. I believe it started at approximately 9:30 a.m. French time, of course, when they pulled up to the location with this truck here with that ladder that goes up to the second floor and brazenly pulled out these tools and started these grinders started cutting through the glass on the windows. It wasn't, pretty. It was ugly, You don't think the security heard what was going on from the outside? But they also used a bit of psychology and a bit of cover. They wore construction vests. That disarms people. Maybe they're supposed to be here. Maybe they're supposed to be grinding through the glass on the second story. It's daytime after all. And there's security here. So maybe these guys are doing some kind of work for the museum on a Sunday morning at 9:30. That's what was thought. That was what disarmed many people, disarmed the security. So, and then we find out, this is ineptitude, that one of the security cameras was pointing in the wrong direction. Will heads roll for that? I think if this were the United States and this was, say, the Museum of Natural History, the first person who would be fired would be the director of security. I don't know if the same is true there, but part of this is that now the director of the security and people that work inside the Louvre need to be interviewed in regards. Was there someone that was cooperating? Was this at all an inside job? The robbers could have gone there many times on what we would call reconnaissance. Check out the location. They probably could even pull up a schematic of the Louvre online somewhere or using some software like CAD, computer assisted design, and got the blueprint of the location. So they knew exactly where they were going and what they were doing. And that appeared that way. And what they did, which is very smart for all robbers, was they minimized the amount of exposure they had. They're saying that from pulling up to getting out of there, it was approximately 7 to 8 minutes that they were exposed. And then I believe that their faces were covered at all times. And no one saw their face. Video cameras does not have images of their faces at all. However, this is the 21st century. And we have something called deoxyribonucleic acid. Yeah, I had to show off that I knew the scientific term. DNA, a person's genetic code. And they left behind items that could have their DNA on it. And that is where the investigation will surely nail whoever did this. And they're going to get caught. It's just a matter of time. And the big thing is, will they get caught before they destroy the jewels, before they cut the jewels up, before they cut these crowns up? And that's the concern that the authorities have, because you think You think the robbers care about French history? No, they care about their own finances. And the reason they did this robbery and took this chance and did this exposure was because of the jewelry and how much it is worth. This is a payday for them, a huge payday. So we can discuss how they did this, the ineptitude of the security, and the follow up investigation. That's what I choose to do. Let's look at the follow up investigation. What are they doing now? It's said that they have over 100 investigators working on this now. More is not always better, believe it or not. They like to throw those numbers out to the press and to the government. Oh, we have 100 of our best. In reality, you probably want 10 really focused people, because sometimes, as I said, more is not always better. Anyway, folks, so hold on to your hats, hold on to your loved ones, hold on to your thoughts, hold on to your prayers. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off the cuff zone, the police off the cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
The Louvre is the most famous museum on earth, a fortress of culture packed with priceless treasures. But on October 19th, 2025, it was the scene of an 88 million jewel heist that left the world speechless. That's 88 million euros. The thieves didn't bother with sophisticated lasers or clever hacking. No, they did not. They used a construction lift and a power tool. The whole robbery was over in less than 8 minutes. This is the story of how they did it, and more importantly, how the world's most prestigious museum was warned for years about its own incompetence and let it happen anyway. So it was just after 9:30 a.m. in Paris, and visitors were already inside the museum's famous halls. A small truck, the kind with a cherry picker, pulled up right alongside the Seine. 4 men dressed like any other construction crew hopped in and started going up. Their target wasn't the Mona Lisa. It was a room that held the literal crown jewels of France, the Galerie des Apollons. I hope I said that correctly. This stunning gilded hall, a treasure itself, was home to what remains of the French crown jewels. The thieves rode the lift up to a second floor balcony, a weak spot they clearly knew about. But they were banging, with a simple angle grinder, they sliced through a window, which finally triggered an alarm. But they were banking on being quick. Once inside, they shattered 2 display cases, waving their power tools at the guards, who rushed to the scene to keep them back. They moved with purpose, grabbing specific high-value pieces. They snatched a sapphire Peru tied to Queen Marie Amélie, an emerald set that belonged to Empress Marie Louise, and 2 iconic pieces for Empress Eugenie's collection, her diamond bow brooch and her tiara. All told, they made off with 8 priceless artifacts. Their escape was just as bold as their entry. They scrambled back down the lift, jumped onto waiting scooters, and just melted into the Paris traffic. The whole time inside the museum, less than 4 minutes. But in their rush, they messed up. As they sped away, one of the most famous pieces, the crown of Empress Eugenie, was dropped. It was later found on the street, damaged but safe. It was the first real clue in a case that was about to explode. So, was this a flawless robbery? By no means was it a flawless robbery. They made mistakes. And the biggest mistakes probably were, and I said early on, the truck. Track the truck with that ladder that you see right here. Surely they don't work for a construction company and use their boss's truck. They stole this truck. That means they had to be at the location where they stole it from. Potentially, could there be video images of them stealing the truck? Now, the other exposure is they're inside this truck. When you're inside a car or a truck, what do you leave behind? You leave DNA. And if they find something as, as a mask or something. Beautiful. There's probably saliva DNA on the mask. So clearly these guys didn't think this whole thing through. How can we do this without leaving evidence behind? Very, very difficult to do. And today, with even more technology, and what I refer to is investigative genetic genealogy, it may take some time, but surely they will identify these guys through a DNA profile. And I'm sorry to tell these thieves that, but you're going to get caught. You're absolutely going to get caught. So, they may be sort of celebrating. And the other thing is, it's so true in the world of criminals that more than one is too many, because the other three will talk, or one of the four will talk, or brag. Oh, we were part of the $100 million jewel heist, the jewel robbery at the Louvre, So there's another way they're going to get caught. This is Banfield talking about the escape of the robbers from the Louvre.
If I have learned anything from movies like Ocean's 11, it is this. If you are trying to pull off a heist, get in, get out, make it quick. And up until now, that is exactly what we thought happened when $100 million worth of precious gems were stolen from the Louvre Museum in Paris in just 7 minutes. But newly released footage shows that the caper could have been a lot quicker had it not been for the absolute clown car getaway. Take a look. I was shocked when I saw this was it. This was how they got out. You could see the bucket that they used for the escape. It's descending to the ground. This is real time, folks. It's not slow-mo. And it is nothing like the fast break that we'd imagined they'd planned. Security guards can actually be heard in the background swearing at themselves in French for having let the thieves get away. Take a look at this.
Nailed it.
Okay, merci.
For my French speakers out there, look up merde, and you'll know what they said. With the amount of time it takes them to get down this mechanized ladder, I'm sure I'd be swearing too. By the way, you would notice there that one of the figures was wearing a motorcycle helmet, but the other guy was not. The other guy who was craning his neck over the bucket and looking down. I keep wondering if he's looking down for a fallen helmet, perhaps. If so, it certainly doesn't seem like they were able to find any fallen helmet if it fell before making them get away on the scooters. And if that is what he was looking for, that could have been a real costly mistake. ABC News is reporting that investigators were able to take DNA from both, get this, a helmet and a glove, and they're in the process of testing it. The thieves also left behind another item, one that they tried and failed to steal. The crown of Napoleon III's wife. Get this, it's made of 1,354 diamonds, 56 emeralds, and multiple gold eagles. Thank God they screwed up on this one. But believe it or not, there's actually a small upside to this devastating heist. It's done wonders for tourism at the Louvre. Social media is jam-packed with true crime-hungry internet sleuths piecing together how the band of thieves could have pulled this off. And the online interest is expected to bring even more tourists to the museum. That is, if the museum can handle it. Last June, the Louvre had to shut down for a few hours because the staff went on strike, citing untenable working conditions because there were just too many visitors.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and down.
I wasn't quick enough to not have Andrew or Chris Cuomo, excuse me, come on the air. Yeah, so interesting. Everyone's going to have theories. There's no doubt that these robbers are organized crime. They didn't just decide to become robbers that day and do this brazen heist. And as I said earlier, security with guns would have stopped this robbery before it even happened. Because guess what? These robbers would not have broken in there if there were security guards with guns. And then they pointed the tool at them like as if it was a gun and held security back with the tools they had, the unarmed security. And then we're hearing about other security snafus, like the fact that the camera in the front was facing the wrong way. Oh my God, it's facing the wrong way. Is that, I mean, look, I bet you that happens at other high targeted locations all over the world. I've gone to locations where they had cameras and they weren't connected. It was just sort of like people would worry, oh, they have video cameras. And it wasn't connected to anything. Like they were inoperable. In essence, this camera was facing the wrong way. So what good was it? It's almost like having an inoperable camera. So will someone swing for this? This is from ABC News.
That's all it took to rob the world's most famous museum.
Ce drame a profondément choqué les agents du musée du Louvre.
On Sunday morning, 4 masked thieves pulled off a $102 million jewelry heist at the Louvre in record time, triggering national outrage and a massive manhunt. Here's how what many are calling the heist of the century happened minute by minute. 9:30 a.m., a truck with an extendable ladder parks near the Louvre's Seine-facing side. Dressed as construction workers, 2 thieves scale the ladder to a second-floor balcony. Using an angle grinder, they cut through a window into the Apollo Gallery, just rooms away from the Mona Lisa. Inside, they smash 2 display cases and steal 8 pieces of jewelry dating to the Royal French Napoleonic era. The museum's alarm sounds, alerting museum staff and authorities to the theft. The thieves flee down the ladder, hop onto 2 motorbikes, and speed off southeast towards the A6 highway. In their rush, they drop 1 piece, the crown of Empress Eugenie, which is adorned with over 1,000 diamonds. The crown was recovered on the street outside the museum, but found damaged. Police arrived within minutes and found 2 angle grinders, a blowtorch, gasoline, gloves, a walkie-talkie, a blanket, and the crown at the scene. A yellow vest, possibly from one suspect, was discovered blocks away. The Louvre was closed after the robbery and wasn't reopened until Wednesday morning. The Louvre director, facing questions from lawmakers, revealed one shocking revelation: that the only camera outside the Apollo Gallery was facing the wrong way and did not see that van arrive or the ladder resting on the balcony. It's a fact the 4 suspects may have known and raises the question, were they tipped off by someone on the inside, or even did someone move it for them? Alarms and video cameras in the Louvre worked, she said, but because police were only alerted once the gang had already made entry, it was too late. The stakes now? French President Emmanuel Macron has vowed justice, but experts worry the stolen jewelry can't be openly sold in its current state. The fear is the thieves will dismantle these priceless artifacts, selling the jewels individually and erasing centuries of history forever.
Wow. So someone may have turned the camera to the other direction, thus indicating a potentially inside job. Could have happened, right? It could have absolutely happened that someone on the inside helped them by turning the camera the opposite way. So this is one of the things we have to think about here. Was it an inside job? And now a word from our sponsor. FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? You must be 21 years or older and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online, real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbookfanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK, or text HOPE New York in New York. You know, one of the things in regards to this robbery that makes it so interesting is that modern day technology really makes thieves have to be really, really, really good, because they have to think of not leaving clues from the outset. And that includes using a vehicle or items that of clothing they wore, because all of these things potentially could be repositories for your DNA. And once they identify you from your DNA, they got you. And the other thing is, there's 4 robbers involved in this, right? Once they get one, they got all 4. Trust me. Because the first guy they catch is going to sing like a canary, you know? So very interesting. And apparently they have things that they potentially left DNA on. For example, apparently they found a vest just like the one worn on the escape route on the street. So how you invoice that, how you collect that, how you protect that, protect the evidence and invoice it correctly, and then swab it for DNA is all important. How you process the forensic evidence. And apparently they left other things on the scene, a gas tank, those grinders. Potentially there was a time that they picked those grinders up without gloves on before the robbery. DNA doesn't disappear. It can stay there for a really, really long time. So all of those things, they're going to catch. I almost guarantee they will catch these robbers. When? I mean, they want them now. They wanted them yesterday, because right now they're pointing lots of fingers as to what occurred here and who was responsible. And that's one of the things that whoever is in charge of security at the museum is going to be held accountable for. This is from Forbes.
To the Louvre in broad daylight and steal invaluable jewels. Right after the museum opened on Sunday, thieves climbed a ladder that was mounted to a truck while seemingly disguised as construction workers. After breaking into a gallery window, they smashed display cases and grabbed earrings, necklaces, tiaras, and other jewels before making their escape. The stolen pieces, dating back to the 19th century, have been described as priceless, and France's president called the theft an attack on the country's heritage. Christopher A. Marinello, CEO and founder of Art Recovery International, joins Forbes True Crime to discuss the astonishing heist.
So yeah, it's an astonishing heist. Everyone, oh my God. And now there's people saying, oh, it was very sloppy. All these people, these crime aficionados, that know so much about crime. They were very sloppy. They should have done it this way. They should have done it that way. The bottom line is it was brazen, right? 4 guys, they had a plan. They reconned the location. They may have had inside help. That camera may have been moved, right? They covered their faces. Did they make mistakes? Yes. But they also minimized their exposure. They were in and out of there in under 7 to 8 minutes. So let's say 8 minutes. They were in and out of there in under 8 minutes. That's the key to getting away with a crime like this. So now it jumps to the Louvre Heist investigation. And let's see how good you are, police in Paris. See if you can, I don't mean to be sarcastic. Yes, I do. Let's see how fast you can identify these perpetrators. Let's see how fast you can recover the crown jewels before they get dismantled and your history and your artifacts destroyed by some criminals with hammers that broke in to the glass on the 2nd floor of the most famous museum in the world. Let's see how good your investigators are. There are over 100 investigators looking into this robbery. They will identify the perpetrators and we will get the jewels back. I don't know. When it's history And when it's jewels and when it's property, everyone goes crazy. But when it's human life, not so much. Human life is expendable, But it should be the other way around. People should get more upset when human life is taken and not property, not crown jewels, not history. But human life should be much more important than property. But sadly, it isn't always that way. Anyway, folks, so I gave you a little bit of what the investigation is going to look like, and we'll all keep following this because it's pretty interesting. It's interesting. How long is it going to take for the French police to catch these guys? Or even one guy. You got one guy, you got all four. And what element of organized crime is involved in this? Could these crown jewels already be out of the country? Absolutely, very easily. Look, Europe is all connected, interconnected. It could be done by vehicle. It doesn't have to be done by plane or boat. It could be done by a vehicle, right? So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. Have a great day, everyone, and God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.